Coming to Mississippi as a civil rights historian is like coming to Mecca. It is central to understanding the pursuit of racial justice and racial equity in this country over the span of a very long history, in fact, over the span of our entire nation's history. The work that we do here at the Margaret Walker Center actually dates back almost 50 years when our founder, Margaret Walker, the novelist and poet, founded the Institute for the Study of the History, Life, and Culture of Black People in 1968. The work that we do at Jackson State, which is the 4th largest HBCU in America, nearly 10,000 students who are 92% African American, the vast majority of whom come from Mississippi or surrounding states, representing a demographic that is the poorest, least powerful, economically, socially, politically, of any demographic in America. And at an institution like this, the only research-centered university in the only major metropolitan area, a city in Jackson that is predominantly African American, we have an opportunity to educate a new generation of young people that will empower them to make the changes that we need to make in this state. And that's all through the humanities. And the work of organizations like the National Endowment for the Humanities and the Mississippi Humanities Council makes all of that possible.
When I think about racial equity, I think about just doing away with the narrative, doing away with the implied assumptions. You see a human being first, instead of seeing someone very different from myself or someone that's the same as myself. You see a human being first. And when we think in terms of racial equity, we have to think about, do we see a human being first, or do we see somebody Black first? Do we see somebody white first? Do we see somebody Asian first? Because that's gonna shape the narrative of your expectations for that individual and your attitude toward those people and all of the systemic processes that affects their lives. In 2013, Delta State University got a new president. His name was William N. LaForge, and in his first convocation address, he announced that Delta State University would host a race conference. That following year, 2014, started Winning the Race, and we've been doing the conference annually ever since then. First, it's a safe space to have dialogue about race and all the implications of race and the things that we do every day. So when we think about racial inequities or disparities, then we have to contextualize that to see how does it manifest in our everyday lives. So when we talk about winning the race, we're talking about winning against all of the systemic, all of those overt and subtle challenges that we have because of a history of racial divisions.
I think there's a responsibility of a university not only to be a part of the local community, but to engage and lead. And what excites me is the possibility down the line that 10 years from now, 5 years from now, it might be said that this university helped lead to a decrease in the poverty level in the Delta, to an increase in the educational level in the Delta, and that we helped make people understand how important it is to get along.
My role is that I'm assistant professor of creative writing and theater. And my responsibilities is to prepare students for creative writing generally, and prepare students also to be competitive in the theater. There's a lot of respect for the reputation of the Mississippi Humanities, and the fact that we're talking about something that a lot of people dare to talk about or tiptoe around. But when you come in this room to Blue College with our history, the grant gives us an avenue to reach a larger number of people, diverse group of people, to hear what really needs to be told.
Basically, it was based on social justice issues that are related to students here at TUBLU. So different things from male to female interactions, race relations, educational system, religion, all those different aspects of kind of the TUBLU College, HBCU Black experience, if you will. We just kind of wanted to expose that and give it some honesty, give people the opportunity to come see from our perspective what that looks like.
This particular project emerging out of Freedom 50 is really hoping to reshape the story of Clyde Kennard. It's typically been told as this very tragic story that he would sacrifice himself, of course, for the desegregation of Southern Miss, which is true, but also he exhibited and exercised an act of resistance and social justice, even never gaining admission to the university. And we have students, African-American students on campus today that are living out Clyde Kennard's legacy. People have been fighting for human rights, for civil rights, for the civil rights of Black Americans here in the state of Mississippi and across this nation throughout history. And that is empowering, and the way we learn about those stories are through the humanities, the arts, history classes, English classes, sociology, understanding how people build community and sustain community, even in times of trial and tribulation.
The humanities informs what I do. I became interested in media, in history, because of the courses I took at a university that were considered to be a part of the humanities. So history, political science, all of those things inform what I did when I was a journalist and now as a scholar. So they were very important. It's one thing to tell a story after you've interviewed a few people. It's another thing to be able to tell that same story when you actually understand how race works in America.
The Roots program came about, it started about a year ago. Our partners, ACLU of Mississippi, Mississippi Center for Justice, are actually in a policy change program trying to disrupt the school-to-prison pipeline. We train them up in oral history methodology, videography. We get them out there conducting interviews with each other, with their peers, with other people in their community. And then after listening to these stories, they come back and reflect on, what did I hear my community members say? What does that mean to me? How does that maybe alter my perceptions or alter my ideas about what I thought was going on around here? Everything starts from a place of how do you value yourself? What confidence do you have? Have you ever been listened to? A lot of the young people I work with have never ever been listened to ever. They're shut down at home, they're shut down at school, so they stop speaking. And more than that, they stop thinking that they have something to say. They give up, they become hopeless. So a lot of what we're trying to do is to reinvigorate that hope that, you know what, I do care what you have to say. I do want to listen to what you have to say. You do matter. You matter. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Mississippi will change for the arts and the humanities because this is the way that we express ourselves. This is the way that our greatness shines forth. And when that greatness shines forth from Mississippi, watch out, the world is watching.